Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre a la app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. Yes, they'll take care of all your insurance needs, and not only that, they will do a great job of saving you money wherever they can. All at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We're going to deviate from the draft for a moment because one of Pennsylvania's own made the Hall of Fame. That is Smarty Jones. We are joined by my basketball broadcast partner, the best in the business, and also the best in the horse racing business, Dick Jerardi. Dick, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Steve, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Took a long time for a horse that won the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and missed by a nose of the Triple Crown. Why, Dick, so long before Smarty Jones was recognized?
It's an interesting question, Steve. I don't know what the parameters always have been for the Hall of Fame, but in recent years they've had a committee of 15 people that get together once a year, usually around February, and decide who the finalists are each year. And then there's a voting panel of 170 that votes on the finalists, like who will actually get inducted. And Smarty Jones, until this year, had never gotten outside of the first 15-person committee. He'd never gotten enough votes. I think it was 10 you needed to get out of the committee to get on the final ballot, and he just never got there. Interestingly enough, on my way up to the Northwestern game this year on January 2nd, I got a call from Brian Bouye at the Hall of Fame, who said, "Would you like to join the panel this year?" I said, "Yes, I would." It's probably not a coincidence that in my first year on the panel, Smarty Jones was able to get out of the committee and get on to the final ballot where a larger cross-section of voters could decide. Now, I had to convince some of my fellow panel members. I don't know what the vote was prior, Steve. I don't know how many he got. Frankly, he needed 10. I just don't know that. Anything else was kind of irrelevant. What I did was send out about 10 bullet points by email to all the panelists before we had our call in February and just said, look, here's why I think he deserves consideration to be a finalist. And anyway, we got enough votes this year, including mine, to get him onto the broader ballot, and the results were announced officially yesterday. It's actually 16 horses, trainers, and jockey on the list of finalists, and only one, Smarty Jones, the required number of votes, which was 50% one of the return ballots. There was 150 ballots returned, so you needed to do the math, you needed whatever the 79 or whatever that number is to get in. None of the other trainers, horses, many of them are very accomplished. Mm-hmm. I voted for like seven or eight on the list of 16. But yeah, Smarty Jones is the only one. So of the contemporary finalists, again, of 16, meaning the last 25 years, he's the only one that will get in. There's some old-time trainers, some old-time horses that most people wouldn't have even heard of, some I've never heard of. They're getting in like a kind of a veterans committee deal from 1900 to 1999. But yes, I always thought if he ever got into a broader cross-section of people that he'd probably get in, but that's why it took so long.
You mentioned you put together 10 bullet points. What were a couple of the key bullet points that you wanted to emphasize to others on this 15-person committee to get him onto the greater ballot?
First, undefeated Kentucky winner since Seattle Slew in 1977.
Yep.
Biggest margin in the history of the Preakness, which we beat 11.5 lengths, which will be run for the 150th time next month. He had a 4-race series of Beyer speed figures, the Rebel State, the Arkansas Derby, the Kentucky Derby, and the Preakness, which were the fastest by any 3-year-old in that period in the 21st century. No other horse had a series like that at all. And in the Belmont, where he finished second, I pointed out, most of the panel members already knew this, but I pointed out that it was in-race circumstance that got to be not necessarily Birdstone, who ended up winning the race.
Right.
What happened was he was targeted by a couple of other jockeys, and they basically surrounded him. And horses have a tendency, when they get surrounded, to want to get away from the other horses. So they made him run too fast too soon, sacrificed their own horses, who finished way, way back. So he got similar to what happened to American Pharaoh in the Travers of 2015. After he'd won the Triple Crown, the horse went out and they got beat by an inferior horse. Same thing happened to Smarty Jones. So, in my opinion, he finished second, but he ran a winning race. It was just again, circumstance got him beat. And then, unfortunately, he got hurt after that, and he could never run again. So he could never just show his true greatness, and I explained to them that I had actually been at the track, watched them try to train him after the Belmont. He just couldn't even get to a gallop. And also, I pointed out that all the horses he beat in 2004, many horses, they turned the following year, they won the group, and there was a whole bunch of them that finished behind him all year in 2004, won like 12 grade 1 or grade 2 races combined. So he was beating really good competition. And again, I wasn't sure if they were aware of all that context. And maybe some of the members weren't. And that's, again, I don't know how many were voting for him before I got on, but we got enough votes this time.
Right. It's interesting because we hear a lot, and you and I went to Santa Anita, so a lot of California-bred horses. And California-bred horses will do well usually in the Triple Crown. Kentucky-bred horses will do well in the Triple Crown. Anything about the fact that he was a Pennsylvania-bred horse?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, people have brought that up, that maybe people are not looking at him the same way. It's interesting. I wasn't sure of this, Steve, until I looked it up a week or so ago. He's only the 4th Pennsylvania-bred horse ever to go into the Racing Hall. One of them was from the 1870s, a horse called Parole, who ran in these like 5-mile races. Another was a horse called Flatterer, who was a steeplechase horse, who was the best in the country for 4 straight years. And then more recently, the great filly Gopher Wand, who ran in 1989 and 1990. And Smarty Jones will be the 4th. So, yeah, I think that is part of it. Look, this is a Kentucky sport. The vast majority of all the best horses, and I do mean the vast majority, are bred in Kentucky.
Sure.
They might race in California or in New York, but they're almost all, I don't want to say always, but most always bred in Kentucky. I hope that isn't one of the reasons that he wasn't getting votes. It'd be kind of silly. And one of the complaints was, it's a legitimate complaint, that he only raced 9 times. I get it. It's perfectly understandable. But he was hurt. It wasn't like they didn't want to run him anymore. He just couldn't run anymore. You're not going to run a horse when he's hurt. And I thought because Justify won the Triple Crown in 2018, he never ran after the Belmont. He ran 6 times. He was voted into the Hall of Fame last year. There's filly, Rat Riches, who won the Belmont Stakes in 2007. She's been a finalist for like the last 7 years. So, again, in the email I sent to the committee, I said, look, horses don't run as much as they used to anyway. Maybe that we have to look at that a little different. A total amount of races that just don't race that much anymore. And possibly, and I know a lot, almost all the committee members. Some of them I don't really know, but I know most of them, and maybe I just needed to convince a couple more to come across to get them through. And frankly, the one thing I haven't said this yet because I haven't been on the committee even a year yet, but I'm probably going to call it that runs the thing and say, you know what, they should just disband the committee. I mean, he got in with 171 voters, or 157 as it turned out. But all these years, he could never get out of this committee.
Right.
I said, probably should do it like baseball. I mean, if you have, some qualifications, obviously, every horse is not going to put on the ballot. But if you retired for, I think it's 5 years for a horse has been retired 5 years and has some accomplishments, and you can define that. That's not that difficult to do. Just put them on the ballot. Forget the committee, and then let people vote. I just never a big fan of the committee to start with. So I'm going to find a way to get rid of my own job there. Not that I was getting paid to do it. I was happy to do it.
I mean, look, owner, trainer, jockey, that combination, what did that mean to look, everybody knows the horse is the engine here. I got it. But that combination of owner, trainer, jockey, what did that mean, at least to the Smarty Jones operation?
Everything. About a week ago, I called up to Brian at the Hall of Fame. Look, our TV show, our producer, Bruce Casella, would like, if we can advance notice, to go down to Florida, where Pat Chapman, Smarty's owner, lives, and have me call her on the phone and let her know what happened and have him video it. And Brian said, no problem. So it actually came out officially Thursday. Mm-hmm. He told me on Monday that he was in. So we set it up. She didn't know. She didn't know what was going to happen. He made up some excuse why he was coming down there. And then it's part of our TV show this night. I call her on the phone. I'm videoing myself while he's videoing her, and he put it together for our TV show. And it's a very cool shot. And she was so excited. Because he didn't get the ending he deserved on the racetrack because of what happened at Belmont. And then he didn't do anything about it after that because he got hurt. But this is one of those forever endings. Right? Once you're in the Hall of Fame, you're in there. You're in there with Secretariat, Man of War, and all the great horses. And we did the same thing with John Service, the trainer, yesterday. Except we had Pat Chapman call him to let him know an hour before the official announcement. So, it was like the NFL guys do sometimes when they're telling the guys they're heading to the Hall of Fame. That was kind of the idea. So it worked out great. Stu Elliott, the jockey, was also. I texted Stu. I haven't talked to him. But he's riding down in Texas and Oklahoma now. But he's all very excited to all be there. The ceremony is August 1st. 10:30 a.m. on East Avenue, right down from the main entrance at Saratoga.
Very nice. You mentioned Stu Elliott. Now, as you chronicled this, and you chronicled it up close, what did Stu Elliott's guidance mean to the horse itself?
His ride and decision on the turn of the Kentucky Derby, Steve, pull the race up sometime. Anybody that's listening can pull it up. If you watch the race, there's one horse that's leading. There's 5 horses chasing him right across. I mean, they're literally right next to each other. And Smarty Jones is in the middle of those 5. And Stewart could have, been unaggressive and kind of dropped back. Mm-hmm. Instead, very aggressive. He pushed through the 5, got away from the other 4, and he came out of the first turn in second. He had one horse in front of him. And in horse racing, the whole key is to get the right position where your horse is comfortable, and he got him comfortable. So, he made everything. He rode great in the Preakness. There's been some criticism about the Belmont Stakes. I'm not one of those. I just think he was forced into a possible situation. I didn't have a problem with him. Because he was an unknown nationally, people say, wow, Smarty Jones can't win because it's jockey. I've said that, and I'll say it forever. It is called horse race for a reason.
Yes.
Jockeys can call horses races, but they can't make slow horses race fast. You better have fast. Stewart had one, and I thought he rode him great all the way.
Friend of yours came in from Iowa. As you pointed out, she's not gone to the dark side on the other side. but she wanted to see Smarty Jones. So you went down this winter and went and saw him. How's he doing?
I actually saw him again yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Our producer, we went out there after the announcement to go out and talk to Rodiak and Rhodes. It's in Annville, not far from Coach Rhodes.
Yep.
Alma Mater, Lebanon Valley, probably no more than 10-minute ride. And, yeah, he looked great. He's 24. And back when you saw him, I was with Trish Bowman, who actually grew up in Bensalem.
Yeah.
And lives in part of the year at home with her family. And then she's a steward at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. It's a track right 30 minutes outside of Indianapolis. And she became a horse racing fan, a young kid, because of Smarty Jones.
Right.
So we went to the Northwestern game. She came up with me, and then the next day we spent in Annville on the way home, and she got all kind of pictures, and that was very cool. She was very excited. So yeah, no, that was fun. But yeah, Bruce and I went back yesterday. I'll send you the YouTube link for our show this week. Yeah, he did. I just saw he did a great job with it. It's very cool.
So I guess next week we'll talk about the Kentucky Derby.
We will. Yeah, and we'll talk about our man Michael McCarthy.
Oh.
You saw us in the box next to you guys when I was hanging out on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah,
The favorite journalist.
I made sure I leaned in a few times. I want to hear what he had to say.
Yeah, it's a story. Michael lives in Altadena, Steve, and he has not been able to go back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his house is standing. Much of the neighborhood is not.
Right.
He's not sure when he's going to go back. I mean, he's fortunate because his mother's family lives out there, so they've been staying nearby. He grew up in Arcadia, right where Santa Anita is.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't know what it's going to be like. He's assuming he's going to have to throw anything that's in there out.
Yeah, smoke. Yeah.
Exactly. The damage to clothes and everything else. But yeah, he's training the Derby favorite, and he hasn't been back in his house since whenever the fires were early January.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That was just one of those keep your mouth shut, lean in, listen moments for me, because there was knowledge being thrown out there that.
He's a great guy. He's a terrific trainer. He was a top assistant to Todd Pletcher for years, and then he went back home to California a decade ago and has become one of the best on the West Coast. So, yeah, the Derby is going to be cool. You got that. You got the return of my man Bob Baffert after his 3 years suspension, which is probably about 35 months longer than it needs to be.
Oh God, yes.
That's all of the story. It'll be fun. 20 of them, and how can you? Against the horse named journalism.
Well, naturally, it just kind of fits the show.
Realistic here. Plus, he's really fast anyway, which is always helpful.
Yeah, exactly. The key is, doesn't matter what the horse's name is it fast?
Right. Can he run past the other horses or get in front of them and never let them get by? Either one is fine, but as long as they get to the wire first.
Exactly. That'll be for next week. DJ,
yes, sir.
Thanks so much, sir.
You got it. Thanks, Steve. See you, buddy.
Dick Jerardi. We will come back more in a moment. Brought to you by Purdy Insurance on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.